about my career. I think I may have told you at the beginning that I've been in this business for, it's really the only business I've ever known. Been in it for the last 28 years. And what I may not have told you is that when I got into sales, I was not a super salesperson. In fact, I was very mediocre as a salesperson. And, you know, I was sort of middle of the road as a salesperson. I wanted to be a top salesperson, I really did, but I didn't know how to be. And I was in Vail, Colorado, and I'd already been in the business for about 10 years. I'd been at OPC, and then I was a salesperson. And I was working at Marriott at the time, and I had a boss, and his name was Steve. And I remember it was late one night, and I'd been doing pretty well that week. I'd made a lot of sales, and so I was having a really good week. And my boss came to me, and he said, you know, after you're done with that paperwork, I'd like to see you in my office. I'd like you to come into my office. And I thought, oh, maybe I'm in trouble. You know, I wonder if I did something wrong. I wonder if I said something wrong. You know, I was always getting a little bit of trouble doing something wrong. And so I went into his office, and it was pretty late at night. It was about 9:30, 10 at night. And he sits me down, he closes the door, and he said, you know, I've been watching you over the last few weeks. And he says, and I want to tell you, you have a rare talent. He says, if you keep it up, you have the ability to be a top salesperson. I said, really? Now you have to understand something. I had never been a top salesperson. So I'd never had anybody talk to me that way before. I'd been a very mediocre salesperson. He said, no, really, I've been watching you. And if you train and you work really hard, and you focus, and you take this more seriously like a career, I think you have the ability to not only be a top salesperson here, but I think you have the ability to be one of the top salespeople in the entire timeshare industry. I said, really? He said, yes, you have a rare talent. Well, I can't tell you what this did to me. It like changed me. I went home, I was so excited. The next day I went to work, I stayed after, and I started listening to tapes. I started studying, I started training, because I had all this talent. And I'm thinking, I gotta take care of all this talent. I'm really good. And I started carrying myself differently, I started walking differently, I started behaving differently, and I started working really hard every single day. And sure enough, at the end of the year, that year at Marriott, I was the top salesperson at that resort. And I'll never forget it, because we have a Christmas party every single year, and they give an award to the top salesperson. And I stood up in front of everybody, and I got a big trophy, and my mentor gave me a card, and it said, congratulations, you have a rare talent. And that next year, I said to everybody, okay, now I want to be the top salesperson in all of Marriott. And at that time, you got to understand, Marriott was the Mahindra. Marriott was Mahindra. They were the brand. They were the best company in America. And everybody said to me, well, you can't be the top salesperson in all Marriott. You won't make it. You're the smallest we had the fewest amount of tours, the fewest amount of people. They said, you can't do it. Orlando will beat you. You don't have enough tours. And it was Steve who stood up for me and said, watch her, she'll do it. She has a rare talent, she's gonna make it. And sure enough, I trained hard, I studied harder than I'd ever studied. And at the end of that year, I was not only the top salesperson in all of Marriott, I'd broken every record Marriott ever had. And at the end of that year, at that Christmas party, I'll never forget it, because he had gotten me a bouquet of flowers, and it was so big, never seen anything like it. It was like in a hotel lobby. It was this big, and it was up like this, and it was a card, and it said, once again, you have a rare talent. Congratulations. And in fact, I did so well that he gave me a promotion so that I could work longer hours and make more money, and make less money. He made me a manager. So he said, now you're a manager. I said, really? He said, yeah. And now you get to move. I said, really? He said, yeah. So he moved me to a place called Park City, Utah. And he said, so now you get to manage people. But see, I didn't know anything about managing people. All I knew was about selling. So I had a team, about 8, 10 people underneath me, and I didn't know anything about managing people. And the truth was I wasn't really good at it. I didn't know anything about it. And about 4 months later, I wasn't doing really well. So I came into his office and I said, you know, Steve, I think I'm going to go back to selling. I'm not doing really well with this managing thing. And he looked at me and he said, so what took you so long? I said, what do you mean? He said, how come it is when you were selling, you used to ask me for advice every day? He says, now that you're a manager, do you think you were supposed to know it all? He's like, what took you so long to ask for advice? He says, look, do you want me to teach you to be the world's best manager? Or are you going to quit? I said, no, I want you to teach me. I want you to teach me. I'll do it. He said, well, then take out your little notebook and start taking notes, because I am going to teach you the secret of being the world's greatest manager. I said, okay. He said, rule number 1, being the world's greatest manager. He said, Sherry, I think you're going to have lots of people working for you throughout your life. He said, when you find one, even if they're just so-so, but you think they want to learn, I want you to pull them into your office, close the door, look them in the eye, and tell them they have a rare talent. He said, are you telling me that for all these years, you've been lying to me? Are you telling me that all this time, you didn't think I had any talent, you were making it up, you did all that just to egg me on? I was so mad. I was so mad. And Steve looked at me, and I'll never forget it. And he said, did it really matter? I get really emotional when I tell this story. And I tell you this story because Steve was the first person in my life that really believed in me. And Steve probably believed in me more than I believed in myself. And you all have the ability to influence somebody that much. It took one person to believe in me. I never dreamed that I would have the opportunity to do what I get to do today. And if one person hadn't believed that much in me, I wouldn't get to give what I get to give to so many people. And really what I do is I get things from you and I just share it with other people. And you have the ability to influence people, and you can be all the difference in their life, and you can change people's lives through believing in them. See, Steve had this amazing ability to find the good in people. And you have a choice every single day in all your interactions. Do you look for the talent in them? Do you look for the good in them? Or do you look for what's wrong in them? Because we all have strengths and weaknesses. And every day you have to make a choice. Are you going to look for what's wrong? Or are you going to look for what's right? Are you going to look for what's wrong in a person? Or are you going to look for their rare talent? And if you look for their rare talent, they will grow, they will develop, and they will become fabulous. And your growth as a leader is your ability to replace yourself and duplicate yourself. And if you do that, you'll not only be a better leader, but you'll be a happier leader. You'll have a better company, and you'll have a happier life. So thank you very much.